and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about the mental change. We will.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I am thrilled that you are going to join us today. We are going to be talking with a singer and songwriter because telling stories really captures the heart when it's combined with music. And so I know this will be a fun and powerful episode that we're going to do today. But before I introduce you to our guest, I always like to do a couple of shout outs. So first, I want to give a big shout out to the Mark Arneson Band for allowing us to use their music, Clarion Call, as our opening music here on Alzheimer Speaks. And for those of you that are new, Alzheimer Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. We like to really raise all voices around the world, big and small, in every fashion. And so, you know, we want to tell real stories. So if you have a personal story you'd like to share, maybe you have a business, maybe you're a singer-songwriter like our guest today, or a movie director or a researcher, or have a business, or you've written a book or a play, please reach out to me at radio@alzheimerspeaks.com. I'm going to mention just a couple other things. One, if you happen to be in Minnesota in the Woodbury area on Saturday, February 25th from 2:30 to 4:30, I will be out at Woodbury Senior Living. We're going to do a screening of the film called A Timeless Love that is free. You can just call Deb Bland to register at 651-501-2105. And then also, I'm really, really excited. Betty the Bald Chicken, Lessons in How to Care, hit the presses yesterday. And I am just thrilled. It's my children's story, beautifully illustrated by Emily Lund and written by myself and Scott Carlson. Betty the Bald Chicken has been asked to be a book from my audiences for years and years now. And so it's really an honor to have that in place. We are going to hear from the Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner, and then we're going to be right back.
I love the footbar walker, and let me tell you why. It is the option for my toolbox that I've been waiting for. Let's be honest, there are some clients who, despite our best rehab efforts, just aren't able to return to performing a sit-to-stand transfer on their own. Now I can offer my caregivers an easier, safer option that doesn't involve hoisting their loved one up from a sitting position. I don't recommend this walker for all of my clients, but I do recommend this walker for those caregivers looking for an easier, safer option with transfers. I would also encourage other therapists to add this walker to their toolbox. It's kind of like having my own mobile parallel bars for the client to pull up on. Whether it's a family caregiver at home helping a loved one with Parkinson's or dementia, CNAs in a long-term care facility assisting their patients, or therapists adapting to client and caregiver-specific needs, we now have a very safe and effective option to offer in the footbar walker. Check this product out at thefootbarwalker.com. That's it for today from Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Have a great day, and don't forget, if you can't do it, adapt it.
Well, as promised, we are going to be talking with a singer-songwriter who shares her powerful song, Last Dance in the Rain. We're going to be talking with Victoria Simmonds, whose music has been influenced by Brit Pop, folk, country, and musical theater. Victoria has been compared to Fleetwood Mac, Carole King, and Alanis Morrissette. Victoria's new single, Last Dance in the Rain, has really thought-provoking lyrics, and it's about the loss of someone due to symptoms that affect their memory. And again, it just invokes intense emotion for people diagnosed with dementia, as well as their friends and family who see those changes. The song really tells the story of the loss of the mind before the body, and the hope that although they're not with us in mind, the hope that they are happy and dancing in the rain. Well, Victoria, I'm so excited to have you with us today. And before I talk about your song and get into my line of questions, I always like to ask every one of my guests if they've been personally touched by any form of dementia in their own family or circle of friends.
Oh, my great aunt, my Auntie Elsie, she had dementia when she was really old. So I think it was the last 4 or 5 years of her life. But that is something that still affects you, because you just see someone gradually fading away in front of you. And my other grandparents, I've been so lucky that they're still reasonably there. But another great aunt as well, who died recently, she may not have had a lot of dementia, but her memory was starting to fade, and you'd go in and she wasn't quite sure who you were.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I think most people have been touched. A lot of us don't think about it, but once we're asked, it's like, well, yeah, it's just not one of those hot topics typically in the family until you're in crisis mode. And then all the time family don't talk about it, then kind of one person takes charge. Well, I do want to play your song, but first I want to ask you, how did you get into music? Have you always had this love for music since you've been little, or was there a turning point for you?
Oh, no, it's always there. I think it's more of a question of when did I not have music? My dad is a singer, so it's literally always been in the house. So I was maybe 3 when I started doing more music. I don't remember not, so I'm going to say 3. And then I started performing with the school when I was sort of 7, 8, and it carried on. And then I was doing music with my dad from 16, and then paid jobs from when I was 21.
Wow, that's amazing. I love music, but I have absolutely no talent and cannot carry a tune. But I hope you never hear me, in the shower or the car, because that's kind of when I let loose. But I have a strong appreciation for music itself. Did you start writing music at a certain age too, or?
18, I would say. I mean, I'd always make up things, but I think when you actually write it down, it's a very different matter.
Okay. And then do you play different instruments at all too? I know some people just have this wide spread and others kind of have their lane.
Play is a general term. Play for recording? Absolutely not. But I have my piano, I have my guitar, I have several wind instruments that I play around on, but play for recording, definitely not.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, there was one time at a country music show I was doing, and they told me I had to play guitar. So I managed to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I have a guitar still in the house, but I still don't know how to play it. And I used to play piano when I was little, but I would get so frustrated doing those chords. It's like, give me a song, let me learn a song, and I had a really hard time with the rote chords because I really wanted to get into a melody. So I guess I never wanted to learn the basics, to really set the foundation for myself. Well, let's do this. Let's go ahead and listen to your song, Last Dance in the Rain. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Victoria, that song is just so beautiful. The words and the lyrics are extremely powerful and tell just such an eloquent story. Is this a song that you wrote yourself?
I would say it's definitely a collaboration. My friend that I collaborate with came with the idea and the basic line of the song, what he wanted to express. And basically, I take what he's written and rejudge it. I don't know if that's just an English term, but
I think we can figure out what judges is. No.
Manipulate it into what I want to sing.
Yeah. Is there a phrase or, a set in here that just you kind of melts your heart? That
in the bridge zone? When you sing, maybe she's dancing in the rain. Every time I was singing that when we were recording it, I almost had my arms out as though I was spinning and just trying to imagine me being a child and being in that headspace.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place to be. And I mean, when you think of a child dancing in the rain, I mean, nothing matters to them. They're just in the zone, they're enjoying the moment. And, there's nothing much better than being in that zone, that playful area. Well, like I said, I just found this really, really powerful. And in the end, you have send me to sleep, pray my soul to take. It never rains outside, she said. Now she's 'neath the flower beds. Silently, they close the door. I just I get emotional every time I hear that. But it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes I don't like to think about that bit because it's sort of final and ending, and you don't want to sort of think of any sort of final process. So I like to think of the child's thought mentality before that.
Yeah, that playfulness, that it is pretty cool. And then you have watch the rain come down, it pours. And do you look at the rain differently now?
No, I think I've always seen the rain as something that's something comforting. I don't know.
Well, the rain, I mean, it makes things bloom. It brings to life. There's, it cleanses. There's so many beautiful things, I think, in the rain.
And it's helping the flowers on the bed grow. And
yeah,
I love the person wherever they are.
Exactly. If you're just turning in and hearing me a little weepy, we just listened to Victoria's beautiful song, which is entitled Last Dance in the Rain. And it is just so heartfelt and so easy to visualize and kind of get you in that rebirth and playful stage of just letting go and enjoying life. And I think that that's really important. Sometimes when we're dealing with dementia, we think of a lot of the negative things and the things that we've lost, but there's such beauty. And I know, my mom lived with dementia for 30 years. And even though the disease progressed, the simplicity, which I think your song also plays into, with Dancing in the Rain, just filled my heart with joy on so many different levels. So it made me love and look for things in a different fashion that I probably overlooked, in a fast-paced life, but it made me slow down. And I think that that's one of the cool things with your song. It makes you reframe what you're looking at and seeing the other side there. It's just wonderful. Have you written other songs regarding dementia, or when you write, do you write from a circumstance in your life, or do you just kind of pick a topic, or does it just
usually it's something that's happened in life. Other times I've been walking along the road and been really frustrated and hear the rhythm of my feet, get really angry, say something and go, oh, I really need to write that down.
Well, that's interesting, so when you write, do you feel like it really all comes from an emotional place then?
Yes. I don't think I could write a summer pop song with a few words in it. I always end up, I don't know why, it always ends up as some sort of poetry.
Okay.
So
as far as dementia goes in the topic, that was for some people, they might think that that's a risky thing to do. What was your thoughts? Did you and your partner talk about that at all, or did you want to raise awareness and just bring this to light in a more comfortable fashion, in a way that wasn't a lecture for someone to have to attend?
No, it's not trying to raise awareness as such. It's more coping and dealing with the facts. We don't want all these things to have happened, but with my aunt, for instance, you had to know how to treat her when she was at a certain mind space. So it's just celebrating and understanding how to treat that, and not to be scared of anything, but just knowing how to go forward.
I like that. It taking the scary out, and like you said, how to deal with something differently, in a different light. I think that is a beautiful way to frame it, for sure. Did your partner, has he or she dealt with other situations regarding dementia themselves, or?
He hasn't explained it to me completely, but it was originally called knot fingers, and he said he was thinking of all the elderly people in a home whose hands sort of knotted and they just sat there, and he wondered where they were. So I have a more suspicious feeling that he has more experience in it than I do.
Wow. What kind of reception have you been getting from people with your song?
A variety. Most love it. There are some people that say, especially if it's on the dementia line, that it could be taken in a different way, but I don't think people should take it in I'm offending anybody. It's not like that at all, but otherwise everybody loves the sentiment and the words.
Well, and I think, they say, art's in the eye of the beholder. And I mean, somebody can go down that rabbit hole looking or listening to anything. Sometimes I think it's a personality trait of certain people, to be honest with you. I mean, that's just kind of always the direction they go. They look for fault instead of looking at the beauty and looking at, like you said, helping people cope with reality. And maybe they're not there yet. And for some of them, it's spooky, thinking that, their loved one, may progress, which most likely they probably will. But I find even like through support groups and things, when I first started doing support groups, people were giving me the advice, well, people early on can't be mixed with people that are further along, but yet families appreciate those stories of what's to come, and be able to plan and be able to kind of shift their mindset, even if it's slowly in the process of, I can still find joy and love and healing throughout. My person is not lost. I just have to reach them in a different way.
Exactly.
And I think that those are all beautiful growth moments, for each of us, if we're willing to go there.
And it's not being afraid that just because that person isn't who you knew when they were 21, they're still perhaps a very happy person in themselves, and hopefully, like my aunt was often would say, oh, when's my dad coming back? We're like, oh, just in a minute, don't worry, he's coming back. And she'd say that she was playing with her brothers. And so in that headspace, that she's really happy.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, it's so important. And you really, with the lyrics, you really do go through some of the different stages with not remembering. Is it just part of growing old? What really is happening? And you've got in here and merely playgrounds deep within the stare. I remember looking at my mom, and there were moments where she would get that blank stare, but I would look at the rest of her body language, and in some cases she was so peaceful and so happy. And I thought, I want to be where she is, because she's kind of blocked out the rest of the world, and she's really at peace. And I think sometimes we forget to look for that peacefulness within, because we're so worried that they aren't who they used to be. But none of us are who we used to be. And we're all letting somebody down somewhere in our life that wants us they want the old person back, our old habits and, whatever it might be. But we don't look at that. We a lot of times we don't look inward on how much have we changed. And these types of things, this type of change that can seem really drastic, actually a lot of times with dementia comes on really slowly. My mom lived 30 years. I mean, you don't know how long it's going to be, but I think we get wrapped up with what the doctors tell us to expect, and we get wrapped up with control and wanting to know. And so we focus on trying to figure that out. And nobody knows how long we're going to live or what's going to happen to us along the way. And everybody with dementia, experiences the symptoms differently with different people at different times. And so to me, that's all part of it too. The Last Dance also brings up for me with my mom how music was such a powerful role with her. Yeah. And she absolutely loved music. She used to be in the choir at church and all those different things. And as she progressed, even when she moved into the nursing home, she was in the choir there. And she sang, and she would go around to others who couldn't maybe speak anymore, but still enjoyed music. And then as things changed, we would always dance, and when she was mobile, we did that standing. When she was in a wheelchair, we sat at, I kind of rolled her around in her wheelchair, and I'm standing and she's sitting, still dancing, in the rain to the music. And then, as her physical attributes, pulled in even more, then we would dance with our hands. And then we got down to just a pinky dance. But there, you can still move, you can still participate. It's just about us adapting, and you can still find great joy in all different levels. And I think with, The Last Dance in the Rain, again, it's that reflection of they have joy within still. It doesn't always have to be a horrible journey, which I think so many people, it's an all or nothing. And life isn't all or nothing. There are joyful moments that we can find, but we're only going to find them if we're looking for them. And I think your song is a wonderful, wonderful reminder of that. To be able to give us comfort and to be able to have something that triggers those emotions, once somebody's passed, and bring back those memories. I just did an article, because it's Valentine's Day today, about reframing Valentine's, and what that day is all about. And, everything is so romanticized, in the world, but there's a lot of people that have gone through breakups or are dealing with illness, and maybe they can't travel or go out to dinner, or their loved one, isn't able to buy a card or flowers or, do their normal traditions. That doesn't mean you're not loved. That doesn't mean that you still can't celebrate. Even if they've passed, I think we have to look at all of our life and where and how did we feel loved and by whom, and celebrate that. And it doesn't have to always be a partner. It could be a child. It could be a pet. It could be a situation or a vacation. But I think we have to change our mindset, just like your song does, and look at things in a different light and appreciate what we've had in our life, if it's in the past, if it's today, or gives us hope for the future, to have that deep love once again in our lives. So I think that's amazing, and the talent to be able to pull a song together. I love, writing poetry and stuff, but I haven't done that for years. I did a lot when I was younger, but to put it to music, it just makes things magical and, so heartfelt. So what other type of songs have you written that you might want to share with our audience?
I co-wrote with the same person a whole album. What is it? 10 songs. We wrote it in 2016. We played around and did festivals in 2017, and I only uploaded it and released it in 2020 because I was, not that I was bored, but I figured I've got all these songs and people might as well listen to them.
Yeah. Well, and 2020 was a tough time with
Yeah.
COVID and things. So people were relying, I think, even more heavily on music. And I think music is incorporated into our lives. And I think I don't want to say take advantage of it, but we don't really recognize, I think, and appreciate the importance it does play in our lives and the joy and the comfort that it gives us. So I think great timing. What's the name of that album?
So that one's called Let's Do Happy.
Let's Do Happy. Okay.
Yeah, because we had, I would say, 6 or 7 songs that we were going through, and the first one actually was Falling. So if anybody wants to listen to that one on Valentine's Day, that's written when I was 18.
And that one's called
that's Falling. Yeah.
Okay.
And then as we progressed, we realized that all our songs were mellow and loving, or sad, who knows, whichever way you're looking at it. So we decided that we had to do a happy song. I went home and decided that I'd write down all the strange and funny things that had happened, and we put it to music. It was literally that fast.
Wow.
So that's why it's all called Let's Do Happy, which somehow, even though we wrote it in 2016, once it got to 2020 and everybody was feeling blue, they suddenly wanted to listen to that one because it's Let's Do Happy, and it really went quite well.
Well, and music can easily change our moods too. And I mean, we pick things. I know I can be in the car and listening to something, and I can get real happy or I can get real sad depending on what comes on and what space I'm, mentally in at the time. And I think it's so healthy for us to feel whatever it is, just to release those emotions and acknowledge them, because I think so often people are afraid to do that, and music allows us to do that naturally, even if we do it alone or in front of other people. It doesn't make any difference. But I think it's important for us to feel and not get numb to the world we live in. Yeah.
So with Falling, because that's quite a Valentine's-y song, I've got lyrics like, it's the chocolate on my nose, which is literally the little tiny things that you remember from maybe your first proper date or something. But just tiny little things again that you have to appreciate. Yeah, I think that's nice. And if you listen to Let's Do Happy, there are a lot of I don't know if it's the same in American, where you have little quotes that are just really strange, funny things that you've said at the time. I mean, I'd probably call it sarcastic, little dry English humor. But the one that always gets me is when I say I've never seen you in trousers before, which is what I actually said to my music partner Paddy, and it was literally meant because we'd been working through the summer and he'd always been in shorts. And then we were walking up the stairs and I suddenly said, but I've never seen you in trousers before. And it made it into the songs.
Oh, too funny. Well, I suppose you just never know where stuff is coming from. Do you ever feel like songs are just like channeled to you? Like you just kind of wake up and go, this is in me and it's got to come out. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, it's one of those things that other people might write them down or in a different manner, or they might internalize something. But for me, every time I've got an emotion, music's so strong that I have to just blurt it out in a song form, whether it's actually becomes a song or whether it's just a feeling at the time. It just has to come out and I sing it because that's how I deal with something. And I think a lot of people might also think of that. I don't know how other people do it, but for me, it's a definite have to do it with music.
Mm-hmm. Well, you hear that from so many singer-songwriters when they're interviewed, that is just their way of expressing life and coping. It's really a coping mechanism on a lot of different levels. And what a beautiful way to have a coping mechanism that is valuable and appreciated by others.
Well, it's not just my own feelings that I've written down. For instance, when I was a really annoyed teenager, I had this one CD that I put on really loud in my room, and I don't think you could call it singing. It was just shouting along with the lyrics, but it made me feel better. So it's some sort of emotional detachment, and you can just get it all out and not worry.
And for you, was that, I don't know how to say this. Well, I'll just say it. So do you think it was easier in your family because your dad's, a musician and probably feels some of that stuff himself for him to understand? I think some parents don't always understand what their kids are going through or how they're expressing things when music is playing.
It might on some level. I've never thought of it like that. But yeah, my parents always said, you know exactly how she's feeling by what music she's playing. So I think that's the same for many, many people. Yeah.
And I don't think it's always looked at like that, or considered. It's a phase, of what people are going through, but really it is a choice. In terms of what gives people comfort and things. Well, Victoria, this has just been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Other than just listen and understand that it's all okay, wherever you are in your stage of family situation, and just feel that it's all okay and find those little bits and pieces that are good and happy, and then you can remember those later, however long it may be. Just cherish it all.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. It's those little things that really calm my soul. And my mom's been gone since 2014, but it was, it's interesting because it's not the big stuff at all. And so many times I think people say, I want to remember who was, but I so appreciate who she was throughout her life. And even at the very end, for the last 3 years, she couldn't communicate, through her words. It was through small gestures and touch. And that in a lot of ways is much more powerful. It's more intimate. It's I think if you allow yourself to really look for those moments, you will grow in terms of even how you love. I think you'll find different levels of what do I want to say, unconditional love, which I thought was kind of black and white, and it's not. And the more you lose, the closer you can get. in a lot of ways, is something that I found for myself personally anyways.
And music is a great healer. I think they have them a lot in America as well, but putting music activities, choirs, all of those things is a great healer. It's a great calmer for people.
Yep.
It's very strong.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to reminisce, for sure. And many say between, I think it's the ages in like 13 to 21, those are kind of our songs we never ever forget along the way. It can kind of be in our prime days.
I can still do the Spice Girls all the way through, no problem. That shows how English I am.
Wonderful. So if people want to purchase your song or your album that we had talked about too, how do they go about doing that? Can they access that from your website?
On my website, or you can go on Spotify, on Deezer, on Apple Music, on Amazon Music, anywhere you like, you can listen to that.
Okay. And so do you want to go ahead and give people your website?
Okay, it's www.victoriasimmonds.co.uk.
Okay. And Simmonds is Simmonds.
Yes.
So
there's so many variations.
Yep, exactly. And then you're also on Facebook as Victoria Simmonds Music.
Yep.
Instagram, official Victoria_music. You're on TikTok as Victoria Simmonds 81. And you also have an email. Is that okay to give out to people?
Fine.
Okay, is victoriasimmondsmusic@gmail.com. And then, of course, you also have a YouTube channel, which I would imagine they can get to the YouTube channel from your website.
They can. Don't really use it all that much. It's more for seeing what I've done in the past, some of my my old concerts where I've been singing Whitney or June Carter Cash or
okay, well that's that's a pretty wide variety. Whitney Houston to June Carter Cash. That's,
yes.
Shows your vocal stance for sure on that.
Just don't get me for any American accents that I actually do.
Okay. And if people are interested in events, what kind of events do you do?
Usually I've got local ones where I am, but hopefully we'll scale that up. I've done a few festivals before, so
okay.
Hopefully.
And when you say locally, where are you in the UK?
Actually, I'm in France at the moment.
Okay.
And then I'll be going back to the UK, more London area, but it's music. We travel around. We go where people need us.
Okay, wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for writing such a beautiful song.
Thank you for enjoying it.
Yeah, the dementia journey, I think, is so important. And again, folks, the song is called Last Dance in the Rain, and it's absolutely gorgeous. You can also find the lyrics, you can read through those as well. Sometimes people like to see those in print. And as she said, you can, download that in most music platforms that are out there. So I hope as you're listening to this that you will like, click, and share. There's so many people out there dealing with this disease that we don't know, and it's up to us to kind of spread the word and give hope, and different platforms, different modalities that can help them along in their journey. So take a few seconds and help us share this episode. Thanks again, everyone. Appreciate your time. And again, you can go to alzheimerspeaks.com, check out our free resources. And if you have little kids in your realm, we're just launching our new book, Betty the Bald Chicken, Lessons in How to Care. You can sign up for pre-orders on that. It just hit the press yesterday. So we're excited for that. It'll be great for not only families, but teachers and libraries and even psychologists and things too, and counselors. So again, have a wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day. We appreciate you all. Send in love. Bye-bye. Well, hi, I'm Lori LeBay, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? Odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.